question that I want to start with should be actually a fairly, first one fairly simple. I just want you to rattle off what are the 5 big challenges facing the district of Sechelt at this time, and because we started with you last time, I'll start with Cameron Reid, if you don't mind on this. The 5 biggest challenges.
Great, thank you very much, Bruce. I think the biggest one before us in the entire world right now is the economic situation. We think we're immune, we're not. It's going to be upon us. The next issue is seniors and affordable housing. With the markets that we've seen and their aging population, we're going to have a huge demand for multifamily housing throughout Sechelt in the next 5 to 15 years. We've got huge issues with infrastructure, that's roads, cycling paths, pedestrian trails, and also sewers. The next one is planning, and that's something that we hear over and over and over, and that is planning for the future, dealing with our official community plan, incorporating visions of the vision plan that especially are effective and pertinent to our aging population. And the last one, the 5th one in my mind, would be Highway 101, safety improvements for cyclists, pedestrians, and also left turn lanes, etc., as Highway 101 comes into Sechelt.
Thank you very much. I think we'll be coming back to these as the evening goes on. That's why I just asked them not to speak directly, but just tell us what the issues are.
Thank you. I think it's clear that we have some infrastructure problems in Sechelt. So I would put number 1, a lot of people keep talking about this, sewers. That's our number 1 concern in Sechelt. It's part of an overall group of concern of aging infrastructure. Roads, we need road improvements, we need highway improvements, and we also need, as has been previously stated, walking and bike paths, and we need to do more of that. We haven't been doing enough, and we will do more of that if I'm elected mayor. I wanted to mention also, our problem is cyclical economy. That's always been, everyone's seen the ups and downs, the booms and the busts. I would like to look at moving forward in the next term and looking at ways that we could possibly on a local level deal with that, and I have some ideas for that. 4th one, as was kind of alluded to, regional transportation. Ferries is an issue that everyone's been talking about recently. We know all about that. Once again, highways, whether we look at improving our existing highway or bypass issues, and we need to look at a diverse economy. Thank you.
That's 3, and I'm sure we'll get back to your other 2 later, Darren. And I had forgotten to say that we're going to keep the responses to the questions to 60 seconds, and that one in particular, I thought you could just give us the quick rundown. This one may take a little over 60 seconds, so if you hear the bell, make sure you do finish your question. And it comes back to the infrastructure, which both of you mentioned, so you will get a chance to expand here. And it's the advanced question given out to the candidates was on our sewer capacity. We know the sewer capacity is close to being maxed out, and we've been looking more recently at a large development on the east side, Silverback, which was going to make an $8 million contribution. Now, if that contribution failed, if for some reason that development didn't go forward, we're asking the candidates this evening to tell us how would they find the money to expand that system, or how would they in fact resolve the problem. And if I could start with Darren, even though we cut you off, if you could start with that question. How would we deal with the infrastructure and sewer, especially in the light of Silverback, if it doesn't go forward?
I actually, Bruce, last time I thought I mentioned 5, but I guess we, yeah. Oh, you're taking notes. The former mayor's taking notes.
I'm just really curious whether everyone has the same 5 or 6. That's what I'm interested in.
If that money doesn't come through, and I've always had concerns that we're always looking to these big projects, what I call the goose that laid the golden egg, that does not mean we plan for alternatives and other ways of dealing with those concerns that the community is expressing over $8 million needed for a sewage treatment plant or thereabouts. I would go to senior governments to look at partnerships. The District of Sechelt already has money put aside for sewers, and we could look to senior governments to look at a partnering situation in which they have application procedures that look to us to contribute a small portion or a larger portion. And because we put money aside, we could look to that and say to them, there's money there. So I'd look to senior and provincial governments. There are continuous grants available, and that's where I would focus a lot of attention. I'd go to Victoria, and we have a new MP, and I'm sure he's loving to impress, so I will also approach him and say, we need help in Sechelt. What I also wanted to mention is we can look at new development, how that could help us fund per lot developed a modular sewage treatment plant. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren Inkster and Cameron Reid.
Wow, 1 minute to deal with this. This is pretty interesting. All right, our current capacity that we're licensed for in Sechelt is 4,000 cubic meters a day. Our daily flow right now is between 2,000 and 2,200 cubic meters. So we do have approximately 5 years of normal growth, and if we see the downturn, it'll be in fact longer. But having said that, we can't rest on our laurels. All of our planning was based on households with 2.5 people per household, where in Sechelt it's 1.7. So our capacity hasn't been consumed quite as quickly as we had anticipated. We have to look at expansion, there's absolutely no question, and I think we can look at partnerships with the private sector. The people that actually provide it, are they willing to partner with us, put it in, and provide it at an affordable amount? The Building Canada funds are increasing starting next year. Right now there's not much there. I think that we have to go cap in hand with our MP, as Darren Inkster suggested, and look at that as an option. And thirdly, I think that we have to do an audit of our two systems and determine what the truth really is. We've got two plants, and what is their capacity? Should they be expanded, or should a new plant be started fresh?
Thank you very much. Now, I have one more advanced question that they were given, so I want you to start thinking of the questions you'd like to bring forward. When they've finished answering this one, I'll be asking the community to come forward to the microphone and ask the questions that you have in mind. This last advanced question, and they were given the rules, they were given the advanced questions, and they were told the responses would be limited to 1 minute, so they've had a chance to plan this through. This is a question about the community plan and the way development moves forward. So Section 884 of the Local Government Act actually requires that all future bylaws, and I didn't make this question up, to be consistent with the official community land. So our provincial charter says bylaws have to be consistent with the official community plan. And the actual quote from the provincial statute is, all bylaws enacted or works undertaken by a council, board, or by the trustees of an improvement district after the adoption of an official community plan must be consistent with the relevant plan. Now sometimes it appears that some bylaws are being passed and they're not consistent with the official community plan. And sometimes it looks like community concerns in that plan are ignored. So we're going to ask the candidates, both the council candidates later, but the mayoralty candidates now, to comment on that perception and what they can do about the fact that sometimes it looks like bylaws are not consistent with the community plan, and sometimes, because of the debate and diversity, it looks like community concerns aren't fully included. And I think we should start with Councillor Inkster on this one.
When at all possible, we need to follow the OCP and its guidelines. The OCP was created by a citizens committee, and their efforts should not be ignored. There needs to be periodic reviews in order to make sure that we meet the changing needs of managed community and growth. I believe when there hasn't been reviews, there have been clashes of the OCP in development that may or not fit in our community. So we need to continue reviewing our OCP, but we need to, as a council, and me as mayor, make sure that we follow those guidelines that so many people put so much hard work into and went to so many meetings to develop. Thank you.
All right, the ROCP was a master document in 1986. The zoning areas around Sechelt and Davis Bay, West Sechelt, and the surrounding areas were in fact inherited from the regional district. So there's sort of a mix of some sort to try to incorporate that into the master OCP. In order for a zoning to be considered, first of all, as has been pointed out, it must be in harmony with the OCP. So the OCP issue has to be dealt with publicly by council and the community before considering the zoning amendment. I hear frustrations, I really do. And I believe part of the frustration is with the process. People come to public hearings and they want to be able to ask council questions. They want responses to their questions. And the OCP process requires that council just listen to the community. So one possible way of trying to help with this frustration is by providing a workshop or an open period prior to a public hearing where the public have the opportunity to ask council and staff those questions and have them cleared.
Thank you very much. Now,